Hello! April is Poetry Month, and so we're going to be reading some poetry when we get ready to do our art, so that when we have read the poem, we will be inspired and make some really cute animals with some toilet paper rolls. So let me go ahead and read the poem, and then we'll talk about the art supplies and how to do the project. I'm going to be reading from Poetry for Young People, Animal Poems. And this poem is called The Owl and the Pussycat by Edward Lear. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a 5-pound note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely pussycat, oh pussycat, my love, what a beautiful pussycat you are, you are, you are. What a beautiful pussycat you are. Pussycat said to the owl, you elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring? They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows, and there in a wood a piggy-wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring? Said the piggy, I will. So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon, and hand in hand on the edge of the sand they danced by the light of the moon, the moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon. So there were several animals in this story. An owl, a pussycat, a pig, and a turkey. And then there's the moon. So we're going to use the owl today, unless you want to use the cat, and I'm going to show you how you can do either one. But I'm going to be making an owl so you can get a close look at what he looks like and then what the cat looks like. So what we will need in order to do this project is a toilet paper roll, or 2, depending on if you were able to collect 2 this week. And we're going to start with 1 for the owl. You're going to need construction paper, and you can use any colors that you want, but I'm going to be using brown for the body of the owl. This is a finished owl, by the way. So I used brown colored construction paper, and I used yellow for the belly, feathers, and orange, and then an orange beak, white for the eyes. I used a marker for the black, and then I used some blue and brown for the wings. Okay, so that's 1 owl that I've made. If you don't have construction paper, you could also draw the eyes, the beak, the feathers, and the wings. So this one I've started drawing, and I haven't finished, so I will show you a little later how I created the wings. If you want to draw it, I just use markers. You could also use crayons on this, or just a pencil if you prefer. So you have a choice, but I'm going to show you the construction paper method because it's a little more involved, so I want you to see how to do that. So first you're going to need a piece of construction paper cut to the same height as your toilet paper roll. And I did not have brown in my selection, so if you don't, then you can use any other color you want. There are white owls, brown owls, probably other colors too, so you can make it however you would like. So I went ahead and cut the construction paper. So if you had a full sheet, you would want to set your toilet paper roll down and then cut off the excess, so that when you put your brown paper or your colored paper up to the roll, it's about the same height. And then you're going to want to make sure that it's big enough to roll all the way around the toilet paper tube and overlap just a little bit because you don't want to come up short. Then you're just going to cut off the excess like that, and I don't throw away the scraps. I keep the scraps to use later. So you could use a glue stick or Elmer's glue, and and I'm just going to use a glue stick for this. If you do use white school glue, just don't put it on too thick. I put my fingers inside of the roll so that I don't get glue all over my hands, and then you just gently put the glue on with your glue stick, or if you're using Elmer's glue, and then you keep turning it around. Okay, so let me just demonstrate with the Elmer's glue on part of it, so that if you need to see that, you have to get the little dried glue off first. Okay, so see how thin of a layer, and I'm just going in circles like that. You don't need any more glue than that because this paper is going to stick. Okay, and I had already put glue stick, so you just choose whichever one you have and want to use. So I've got plenty of glue, and I'm going to line my brown paper, whatever color paper you want to use is fine, so that it goes from the top to the bottom of my toilet paper tube, and then I'm going to roll it around the tube. And then, like I said, you want it to kind of overlap just a little bit. It doesn't have to overlap a lot. And then with your glue stick, if you have a glue stick, it probably will work a little better because it dries faster. But if not, the other kind will work. And then with your fingers and your thumbs, you're just going to go like this with a couple of fingers on the inside, thumbs on the outside, and just press it down so that now you have it covered like that. We're going to create the ears of the owl next. So what we're going to do is we're going to push in. Okay, if you want to do just one side first, you're going to push in on the top just like that. So there's one side done. And then you're going to push in on the side so that that comes together or overlaps just a little bit. And you want your ears, these are going to be your owl's ears, to stick up. So you're just going to pinch that into place. Okay, so there's my owl ears. So if you chose to do the Pussycat, you would do it the exact same way, choosing whatever color for its body that you wanted, and then its ears would be done the same way as the owl ears. At this point, you can say, okay, which side is going to be the front? Well, the seam or where it overlapped is going to be on the back, I think, for mine. And then the smooth side is the front. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut some feathers. So we're going to end up cutting a little piece of orange like this. Again, use whatever colors you would like. So if you were using a big piece of construction paper, you would just go to your construction paper and you're going to draw, okay, on that. Now, since I've got a scrap piece of paper, rather than wasting this big sheet, I'm just going to show you how to do it right here. So you're going to draw two U's that are the same side, same size, side by side. Then you're going to take your scissors and cut out your two U's so that they are connected together. And these are going to be your first bottom feathers on your owl. Don't cut them apart. And just cut out on your line. Remember that if you are one of my younger students, you're going to need to use safety measures. You're going to want to use the rounded scissors or get someone to help you with cutting. Okay, so these are my bottom two feathers. And I am going to also cut out some more feathers in the color yellow, but it's up to you. So I've got a strip this size already cut out. So if you want to go ahead and find a piece of construction paper that you like the color of for feathers, they could be white, they could be yellow, they could be blue, gray, whatever color you want. So you're going to save your little orange feather pieces here, and you'll see how it comes together. And then you're going to draw more U's on the next color. 1, 2, 3, then I'm going to keep going because I'm going to, no, let's stop at 5. That's right. I had to remember. Okay, then I'm going to turn it this way and I'm going to do 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're basically the same size, right? So 5 U's that way, 5 U's the other way. So we're going to cut out, I'll just cut this little extra piece off. So here's what I have. And notice as you're getting yours drawn, notice that it's going to cover the front part once we cut these out. So since I folded this, it's going to give me double the amount that I drew. So keeping it folded like that, cut out your U's, but don't cut them all the way apart. See how that's still connected? Okay, go on to the next U. It does take some patience because you have to make sure you don't cut all the way to the edge or else it'll come apart. You could still use it if it came apart, but it just makes it more time consuming. So carefully cut out all your, so now I have this, see, because I doubled it. So in the center, I'm going to cut it apart. So I have 5 and 5 now, and then I'm going to do another one the same exact way. So if you didn't quite see what I did the first time, here it is again. Not going all the way on the edge because we want it to hold together. And I know since this is small, it requires concentration, doesn't it? Okay, so again, I have double the amount that I drew. So there's 10 U's, and then I'm going to cut it at the 5th one over. So that now, as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these belly feathers. And I'm going to do it one more time. So just on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just on your scrap piece of paper, fold it in half again so that now you're going to have double the amount that you drew on this page. Same thing. So if you do the math, how many strips of feathers will you have for the owl's belly? If you were doing another animal, you'd have to think about what would go on its belly. Maybe stripes or something? Okay, so now I have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's exactly how many I want. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the eyes and the beak. And so you'll need white paper. This is a scrap of white paper. So go ahead and find your white paper. And we're going to draw eyes. So you can see how big this one was that I cut out earlier. I can poke my pointer finger through it. And so I'm going to go ahead and draw that again with my paper folded. I almost forgot to mention. So fold the paper so that when you cut it, you get 2 eyes, and you just cut out one time around your circle that you drew. That's about the size of maybe a dime, not quite as big as a dime. So there's my 2 eyes so that they're ready. And then I want to do a beak. Okay, I have a scrap piece of orange. You can use whatever color you want. It can be black or whatever. And I am going to draw an upside down triangle about that size and cut it out. So far we have done 2 circles for the eyes and a triangle for the beak. Okay, and then I'm just going to have those ready for when I glue everything on. So we're going to start down here on the front. Remember, the seam is the back, and then here's the front. So I'm going to glue on the first feathers, the first owl feathers. So I used a glue stick, but if you're using the Elmer's glue, so you want to get it right in the center. And as I was saying, if you're using the Elmer's glue, just put 2 dots, literally 2 small dots, no more than that, or you'll have glue gushing out the sides. So here's an example of a dot of white glue. If I open it, it works better. Okay, so that is a dot. Okay, you would do that on, you know, both sides of that, and then you just press it on. And see, there's not much glue gushing out. In fact, I could have used less than that because there's a little bit of glue gushing out. So go easy on the glue. Then we're going to put on the yellow feathers, overlapping and centered. So you can tell where the center is because the 2 ears stick up. So you don't want to go too far to one side of your ears. You want to go down the center. Okay, and then you put your glue, whoops, all over the back of that. And you might have to straighten those up a little. And I'm going to overlap the yellow with the orange so I don't see the top part. And you have to be careful if you need to move it around that you don't tear it. Okay, then we're going to put each one of those on. And overlap. Okay, notice how I use the inside of the tube to help me press this down. I go like that, pressing them down. So that's the next row of feathers. And coming to the next row of feathers, overlapping the row before it just a little bit. So you can see how it's creating the feathery effect. And you just keep on with the next one, overlapping each time. I don't want to see any gaps in between my layers of feathers. So that's how that looks. So far I have the orange ones, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of feathers. Make sure everything's sticking. Remember, don't put a lot of white glue. Can't emphasize that enough. Just a little. Now if you're using a glue stick, just coat it really well, especially the top, because you want that to stay. Okay, so I have all of my yellow feathers on. So next I'm going to put on my beak. And the beak is going to be right in the center. So with that in mind, put your glue on. And you can overlap the feathers with the tip of the beak, and then have the fat end of the triangle at the top, and then we're going to put the eyes on. So I have to make sure that the white of the eye is on the outside, because there's a different color on the back of this that I used. And I'm going to overlap just a little bit with the nose, or with the beak, and I overlap the eye a little bit on the feathers too. And then I want to make sure this is going to be centered so that the beak is right in the middle. And then we need to put the black part into the eye area. So you can get that all straightened out. Then you're going to take a marker, color black. And on my finished owl, you can see how he's a little bit cross-eyed. So I'm going to try to do that again. So I'm just going to do 2 half circles. And you could do yours any way that you want, just as long as you have the black part of the eye. You can center them if you want to inside of the white. You could put him looking up. You could even put eyelids on him, but just carefully do that so that you don't get your marker all over the other parts of the owl. You want it just in the white. So now he's starting to look like an owl. And for the wings, on each side, we're going to use brown paper. So I had already cut out wings for my other owl in this shape, and the way I knew how big is I lined it up with the owl. So you want to make sure that it's going to be the size that will fit your owl, and you just fold that in half because we're doing the same thing where we're just drawing it once and cutting it out once. So I'm going to put my previous wing down and I'm just going to copy it, but all it is this shape here. And then I'm going to cut that out. And since I folded the paper, I will have 2 wings automatically. Okay, so you can see my 2 wings are this shape. They're going to go on the sides. And so I want feathers. Yes, I want to cut out feathers. So keeping your 2 together, see, that's 2 together. You're just going to cut out some little tiny triangles on one side only, and you want those little tiny triangles to come out, and you just discard those or just let them fall. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. See how each little triangle came out and it makes it look feathery? 4. So I did 4 of those, and then I have 2 wings. So that's how you save time. Okay, I'm going to want this part that I just cut the triangles out of to stand out a little. I don't want it glued down. So when you put your glue on, keep that in mind. And then we're going to glue the first wing on. It's going to slightly overlap the first row of feathers. And then we're going to put glue on the edge that we didn't cut the feathers from, or cut the triangles from. But you want enough glue that it's going to hold together. Oops. You know what I did is I put that on the wrong side. So if you happen to do what I just did and put it on the wrong side, the glue on the wrong side, just take that piece, see, if you make a mistake, it's fixable. Just take that piece and cut out around it. And you'll have that shape again. So I'm only doing this again because I messed up. If you didn't mess up, don't worry about it. Okay. Now, I'm going to put glue on the correct side. So I want it like this. So I want to make sure my glue is going on the back. And I'm going to overlap it just like I did on the other side, and you want to get it to where you can really see that it is even. And then I just take the little feathers and kind of curl them forward. Not a lot, but just enough so that his feathers are able to be seen. And there is my owl. On this one, I did it again on blue paper with a little bit smaller feather, just to kind of give it more color. You can do that if you would like. You would just cut out a feather again, doubling the paper, and doing the exact same thing if you want to put a blue or whatever color on the top. So there you have a cute little owl friends. Now, if you want to do the drawing part, all I did was I actually traced, I think, a penny for the eyes. I traced around a penny, or you could use anything, like you could even trace around a marker cap. And I drew a diamond shape for my beak, and then I drew a big shape here, a big rounded shape here, and just put in little feathers on the belly. So here's how I do the feathers. I do the U shape, and then I do ones that are on another row beneath it. So instead of cutting it out of the construction paper, I'm just drawing on the feathers. And just drawing straight on the toilet paper tube. So the color of the toilet paper tube actually works for the color of an owl. And do you see how I'm just drawing U shapes all the way across? I would do that on both wings until you get your wings filled in the way that you like them. You could add white for whites of the eyes if you had like a white color pencil or something. So there's one wing, there's the belly feathers, and then I would continue that on this side. And that is all there is to making these cute little owls.